Hey everybody, it's Justice for Comics. There's a little beautiful Chris Cornell doing the cover of a Zeppelin song. Thank you. Man, I love that. He's missed. He was one of my favorite artists. Still think about him once in a while. I'm sure he's making music wherever he is now. That was what he was born to do, especially with that voice. My goodness. All right, let's jump into it here. CBSI, comicbookinvest.com. This is their Hot 10 list. It comes out every Friday evening. I didn't really check it last night to see when it actually got dropped, but it was probably late. So, yeah, it's been working out lately that I do this sometime on Saturday. So, I got a little time here before the football games get really going here. I know there's a couple games on this afternoon, one this evening. So, hopefully, everyone has some time to relax, watch a good football game, enjoy some good food, and just enjoy the weekend. All right, let's jump into it. We're going to start off with this top 10 list. Let me grab onto it here. We'll start off with the honorable mentions as usual. Let me just blow this up a little bit so it's a little bit bigger, easier to see. All right, we're starting off with Haunted Thrills number 6. And I love the colors on this cover. I mean, you've got a beautiful purple background, there's yellows, there's reds, oranges. I mean, look all the beautiful mixture of colors. It's just a really awesome cover. Yeah, this would be a fantastic book to have in your collection. And congrats to anybody that does. Man, a 5.5 just sold for $6,700. It's pre-code horror. I mean, that's all you got to say. Pre-code horror. I mean, this means this came out prior to 1960 or whenever that date was, 62. So I can't remember exactly the date, but Congress passed that law where they had to put comic code authority on most comic books. So basically, anyone that didn't have that label on their comic books really couldn't sell comic books through distributors. So there went EC Comics. They went out of business. A bunch of these horror type comic books went out of the wayside. So limited print runs, just people didn't hold on to a lot of these. And man, if you've got one in high grade, I can only imagine what that would go for. Imagine a 9.0 in this book. Whew. Probably more than 100 grand is my guess. Batman 608, Jim Lee, RRP variant. I do remember when this book came out. I do have the second print 608, which is the Jim Lee cover, the classic Jim Lee cover. Which I still think that goes for good money, $300-400, I think, in high grade, even maybe possibly more. But this is the retail incentive that went out to certain retailers. I can't remember how many of them they think are out there, but probably not very many. My guess is only a couple hundred of these are in existence, and even few are graded in 9.8. So $7,000. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I would say if you're a Jim Lee collector, this is probably the grail. This is probably the most expensive, hard to find Jim Lee cover. Yeah, rarely seen and always gawked at. I totally agree. It's a cool cover. It's just super rare. I've never seen it in the flesh. But man, even when it first came out, I remember this book was absolutely expensive. It was, I think, a raw copy out of the gate. I mean, way back in the day, it was at least $1,000 to $2,000, which was crazy to spend on a modern book. Remember, this is all before Miles Morales and all these, how some of these modern books have gone insane. It was way before all that. So, you know, hell, back when this book came out, you probably could have bought a high grade first appearance of Wolverine for about the same price. So it was just kind of nuts that people were paying that kind of money for it. And it just keeps going higher if you can find one, right? If you can find one. So those are pretty cool honorable mentions to look at. We'll start off now with the list. Number 10, Vampy number 24. This is a Drew Johnson cover. Yeah, homage to Planet Comics. except for it's missing another girl on it, right? Isn't the Planet Comics have 2 women on the bike? So this only has one. It's going for $600 raw, or that was the last sale. Just a super rare book. Only 1,500 of these in existence, and I would imagine most of those 1,500 people probably don't want to sell it. So once in a while, someone that owns it maybe runs into financial difficulty. Who knows? Maybe their girlfriend stole it and put it on eBay. I don't know, but it's one of those that rarely comes up for sale. It's a cool cover. I like it. Obviously, I would love to find a nice copy, but yeah, I'm not going to pay $600. So, oh well. Hey, some things you're just not gonna own. That's just the way it goes. Focus on what you can own. Focus on what you can obtain, and go from there. That's my usual advice. But yeah, that's a nice one. Number 9 is Realm of Kings, Son of Hulk #1. Uh, I think this came out in what 2000. I'm going to say that came out in 2015, 14. Let me see if I can look it up real quick. See if there's one on eBay. I don't recall this book. Oh, 2010. Okay, it was long. It was older than I thought. I thought it was like 2015. So 2010. It's the first appearance of Gintora, whoever that is, some new character. There is a 1 in 20 variant out there as well. It looks pretty cool. And man, the 1 in 20 is going for good money. I see on eBay there's one, buy it now for $140. That's pretty. And there's one auction. So there you go. Well, there's one for $130. Yeah, so there's a couple copies of the incentive on there, and the regular cover is going to run you about $15 to $20. So not bad. Up from 5 to 10, but I guess this character showed up in the Ant-Man trailer. So what is this going to be? Just a very brief appearance in the movie, and then what's going to happen? Is the value of this book going to hold up after that movie comes out? Yeah, so I'd be real careful on that one. I definitely would not chase the 1 in 20 variant. I would just look in back issue bins, see if you can find it for cover price or less, maybe $1 bins. Maybe it'll be in $1 bin. You never know. Manny will probably find one. Number 8 is The Last of Us American Dreams #1. Raw going for $250. 98's at $1,200. Yes, the show came out. I did watch the first episode. It was pretty good. I liked it. Yeah, it's kind of like a typical. I know it's not a zombie movie. Obviously, these things are. Well, I guess they're kind of like zombies, aren't they? They're controlled by fungi. So it has that kind of Walking Dead feel to it a little bit. The world is completely changed. And maybe there's somebody that has the cure potentially to save the human race. Right? So that's that kind of deal. But so far, so good. I like the first episode. Thought it was well done. I definitely want to watch the next one, so that's always good. But yeah, sometimes video game adaptations don't do well. This one looks like it will. You've got God of War coming out at some point in the future. Gears of War, that's going to be out. Man, I really hope the Gears of War adaptation is going to be really good because I love Gears of War. The characters are fantastic. I mean, I don't know if you guys have never played that game or not. The outtakes, the video, some of the stuff from that game is just fantastic. Stories, unbelievable story. God, if that can't be successful, whoever's producing is really fucked up if that can't be successful because the story is so good. The characters are so unique. I don't know. But I always assume that somebody will fuck it up. That's usually what you should assume. All right, number 7 is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles / Ghostbusters number 3. This is the Corey Smith variant. 80 bucks. Yeah, it's probably a fairly hard book to get. You know, not too many people collect IDW books, and I think the Turtle books are keeping them alive. Maybe just a handful of titles are keeping this company alive. Yeah, it's definitely hard to find, and there are always going to be people that are going to collect anything Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So, not surprised that that one is commanding a little bit more money. Next on the list is Scarlet Witch number 1, the Adam Hughes Virgin variant out of 500. Those of you that follow me fairly well on Instagram know that I have 2 copies of this bad boy. Got them for $40 a piece. So it's gone up a little bit over what I paid. Yeah, it's one of the better Hughes covers I've seen in a long time. And Ben says, yeah, I wish they just didn't have a trade dress B cover. Yeah, that would have made this probably a little bit more, because there's going to be people that would have bought and paid more for this variant if there wasn't that B cover, right? The B cover is just a normal FOC cover. So there's thousands and thousands of those printed, which devalues the 1 in 500, because if they had only made this cover for the 1 in 500, this book would probably be $300-400 right now. So, yeah, unfortunately, that's Marvel. Marvel just doesn't give a shit. I totally agree with Ben on this point. I don't always agree with Ben, but he's dead right about this. Marvel could care less about the collector, okay? They don't care. Kind of like your government. They just don't give a shit about you. That's basically what's going on here with Marvel. I don't think they ever cared. Yeah, there you go. Put that in your hat. What's that? Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Is that the saying? Yeah, put that in your pipe and smoke it. All right, number 5 is Wakanda number 4. This is one that I missed, unfortunately. I don't know if it's going to be that important. Tosin's love interest. I think her name is, it starts with a K. I can't remember exactly, but it's a good cover by Mahaney. $10 to $15 it's going for. It's possible you might find this at your LCS. Maybe in a few months, this will come back down to lower values, but it's a nice cover. There's also a B cover. I like this one. I like the A cover better. So, yeah, unfortunately, I missed that. First appearance of a new character, but is it going to be an important character? I highly doubt it. Number 4 is Nightwing number 100. This is the Dan Mora 1 in 100 foil variant. Going for $150. That's the only problem with the foil. They don't show up well in a picture, so that's why it's real dark. Ben says it might be slightly more expensive, or maybe not, but I would prefer if DC would do more spot foil than just all foil. That probably involves a lot more expense, I would imagine, right? Just to do part of the cover foil and the other part not. Yeah, that's probably a little bit more expensive of a process, I would assume. There's also a really, really nice 1 in 150 foil cover done by George Perez. It's a design variant. I pre-ordered one for $150, and I've already sold it for over $350. So I made a couple $100 profit on that one. Yeah, I think this is the first time Nightwing refers to Batman as Dad. He actually calls him Dad. So some people are saying that is significant potentially for the future. I don't know. I don't know if it is or not, but the Perez cover is pretty cool. And I was happy to make a profit off of it. So that's what I did. I don't flip books very often. Once in a while, if I see a really good opportunity, I take advantage of it. And that one kind of was an easy one. So that was an easy layup. So yeah, I made a couple $100 off that. Not bad. Number 3. Oh, and by the way, that Nightwing 1 in 150 is pretty rare. There's only just a couple listings on eBay, and yeah, they're starting to ask more money now. So if you're a big Nightwing collector or Perez collector, that's going to be one of those chase variants that probably not many stores are going to order 150 copies of Nightwing, even if it is issue 100. I just don't think it sells that well, that title. It certainly doesn't sell anywhere near the levels of any Batman books. So yeah, that 1 in 150 might be, even this 1 in 100 is probably going to be a tough find. Most shops are not going to order that many. Number 3 is Venom number 15. This is the 1 in 25 cover by Sue. Yeah, I grabbed this off of Midtown for $20 last week. I just got it in the mail. Yeah, to me that was I did not pre-order. I usually pre-order a lot of my books, but you know the problem with Marvel is they usually don't show you the covers until last minute. So I didn't see this cover, so I never grabbed it in pre-order because usually if I pre-order my 1 in 25s, I get them for about 17, $18. But I didn't get it for that price, so I paid a little bit more, $20. But I'm glad I did. It's $35 to $50 range now. Red covers. I mean, who doesn't love a red cover? It definitely pops. I agree, and it's just yeah, it's kind of that Venom number 3 homage, right? Has that look to it. So this is just one that, yeah, I'm just partial to a red cover. Now here's my regret. Number 2 is Amazing Spider-Man number 14, the second print, 1 in 25. I had that in my cart at Midtown for, I think it was like 45 or $50. I think it was like $50. And I changed my mind, decided to let it go. Obviously, I should have held on to it. Well, $175 now. First appearance of Hallows Eve. Obviously, this is a second print, 1 in 25, so it's just more rare. That's why it's going for more money. But you know, a lot of comic purists don't like that the second prints get more attention than the first print, right? The first print should always be worth more money, but that's not always the case. It depends on rarity, and obviously this is a little bit more rare. And I'm kicking myself for not holding on to it in my Midtown cart. Oh well, what are you gonna do? That's the way it goes. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And number 1 on the list is a book that's of no surprise this week. Batman / Superman, World's Finest number 11. This is the Jack White cover. I got to tell you, this was the least impressive cover I've seen in a long time. I mean, it's a floating head. It's just kind of weird. I could have easily pre-ordered this, and I didn't. Obviously, it was a mistake because I could have at least resold my copies for way more than I paid. I mean, I could have pre-ordered this for $2.99 or whatever it was, $2.59. I got the number 10, the Paul McCartney one. Obviously, I've also got the Eminem. You know, I know these rock artists or whatever, these musicians making an appearance on a cover is hot at the moment. Long term, will this be a hot book? I think long term this will be a $15, $20 book at the most. So if you've got a copy and eBay prices are commanding $50 to $60 for this, and you're not in love with it, and you don't just have, maybe you just got one copy for your collection, yeah, I wouldn't sell it. Maybe it's worth holding on to long term for that. But if you've got 2 or 3 copies, yeah, you should be selling that on eBay right now. That's my advice to you. This, in no doubt in my opinion, no doubt in my mind, this will be a $15 to $20 book in short order in a few weeks when everybody's sort of forgotten about it. So that's what I think will happen. So strike while the iron is hot, as they say. All right. There is something else I want to discuss. Let me give a shout out to people in the chat real quick. Luis Ramirez 504, good to see you, my friend. Cardstock Variant is here, and we've got Kenneth Bird. So I got a few of you in the chat, which is nice. I know this is a Saturday afternoon, not the exact ideal time. Most of you will watch this on a replay. But there is another book that I want to highlight. We go to Golden Apple. This is a book that's coming out in the month of February, I believe. So these are February pre-orders. Most of you Remember the Ginny Frizen Sandman cover, right? The Death cover. That was a hot book. That was a book that out of the gate was going for way over ratio. It was a 1 in 100, and there were people paying 150, 180, 200. And obviously that book went up and more. Its raw copy is a $300 to $400 book pretty easily at this point. So here's another one that we don't know what the picture looks like yet. So it could be a fantastic cover, or it could be, I'm sure it'll still be a good cover. But sometimes Ginny Frizen's covers are somewhat predictable. I would say that Frizen cover she did for Nightmare Country #1, the 1 in 100, that was iconic. If I go to eBay right now, and I've got to show it. Yeah, there's someone asking 500. Here's a auction of a 9.8 up to there's 23 hours left, up to 374. Oh, here's the Mexican version. I bought that for $50, by the way, the Mexican version. That's your next best way to get this cover is to not pay $400, but only pay, a fraction of that price. And then there's one for $400. So yeah, pretty much it's a $400 raw book at this point. And I attribute that to just, it's such a fantastic cover. I mean, that's mainly the reason. It's one of her best covers I think she's ever done. It was my #1 cover for 2022. I did a video at the end of the year. You can check it out on my channel. The best 22 covers of 2022. And this was the #1 cover for me, was this Ginny Frizen cover. So, for me, I'm willing to take a gamble here and there on paying a little bit more maybe than I should. So this is one of those books that, even though I can't see the cover yet, just like that other one, no one saw that cover until the last minute, and then everyone went crazy and bananas trying to find it. So I think what's happening here is, believe me, Ginny Frizen is no dummy. She realizes everyone's probably going to expect a really fantastic cover for this issue. So I'm sure she has drawn her little heart out, and I'm sure it's going to be an amazing cover. And again, a lot of people know that this cover's coming, right? Golden Apple did not price this at ratio or even slightly above. It's almost double ratio. $180 they're asking for this book. And I think this will sell out. Now, a lot of people will probably may wait until the cover is released. And if it's really good, which I think it will be, they're all going to be gone. So so far there's only 2 sites that have this listed, and they're both around the same price. Golden Apple's asking $180. The other one is Impulse Creations, or Impulse Comics and Creations, I think it is, and they have it at $175. So, are you a gambling man, a gambling woman? It's a little bit of a gamble to grab this for this kind of price, but if it's anything as good as last year's Nightmare Country, that 1 in 100, if it's even close to being that good, yeah, this is going to be going for probably $300 to $400 quickly. That's my guess. So it is a gamble. If the cover's not that great, or maybe the series is not that well received, yeah, this is going to drop down to a ratio pricing, and you'll be down $80 in value. So that could easily happen. I think that it's worth the gamble. I'm going to bet on Frizen. I wouldn't bet against Frizen covers. She's just really, really good, and I think she's going to put pressure on herself to make sure that this cover looks amazing, because believe me, she knows that her last year's cover, that cover of Death that she did, she knows that was a marquee cover for her. Believe me, I know she knows that. I'm sure she was told a million times how good that cover was. So this is just one to keep on your radar. Maybe you can talk to your LCS and see if they can pre-order this for you, and maybe make a deal with them. Say, hey, listen, I really want this Frism cover. I don't want to pay really more than $100 for it. So how about we do this? I'll also buy maybe some of your A covers. Maybe make a deal where you'll say, I'll buy 10 of your 20 of your A covers, in addition to spending $100 on this. And that's one way to do it. Maybe you can get it a little cheaper if you make a deal with your shop owner. But I got to think in the back of my mind, how many shops are going to order 100 copies? Now, this is a series of 6 issues, so it is a mini series, and it is Frism, so there may be some shops out there that are going to take the gamble. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I wanted to throw that out there, that this is something to keep on your radar. Could be a really, really good book, and of course, I'm going to give it to you before anybody else. I've got people that help me out. I want to give recognition to Chasing Comics. Make sure you follow him on his Instagram. He's posting all these incentive covers that are coming out all the time. He's probably the most important Instagram person to follow, in my opinion, if you're into comic books, just because he really highlights fantastic looking covers that are coming out, and incentives, and you can kind of plan ahead, because he gives you this information months before they actually hit the stores. So it gives you time to kind of make your plans, your schemes, find one for pre-order somewhere, maybe talk to your shop owner, your LCS, and see if they can get it for you. That's what I would recommend doing. All right, guys, that's all I had for you. I'm going to settle down in front of the TV, watch some football, kind of chill out for the afternoon. Weather's not the greatest down here in Florida at the moment. We've got a little bit of rain. So I'm just going to kind of chill out, watch some TV, and enjoy the afternoon. I hope the rest of you do the same, and we'll see you soon. Thanks, everyone.